Spin them up. Action. Camera.
Good morning. Today is December 19th, 2024, and the time is now 9:01 a.m. I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. I will call this meeting to order. If you do have your cell phones, if you could please silence them at this time. And if you would join us for the pledge and for the invocation, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me for the invocation. Lord, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for the beautiful mountains that we get to look at, this great country that we get to live in, for Custer and for its community of citizens that live here and work here and just have their families and their lives here. Lord, we just pray that we make the best decisions that we can for all of those involved, of those citizens, and we just pray for your blessing upon this county in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Sir. Kelly, did we get a roll call?
Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Epp,
Present.
is Dan gone today?
He is running just a little late, but we'll be here.
And clerk to the board, Kelly Camper, present.
Okay, and audience introductions. I was looking at you first, didn't you?
BOCC admin,
Vikia Phillips, deputy coroner.
Kathy Griffin.
James Gilbert. Paul Edelstein. Bob Smith from the resources.
Jim Chaplin.
All right, and I believe we've got a couple people online. If someone is going to speak later, if they could identify yourself for the record, I would greatly appreciate that. Any amendments to the agenda?
None from me.
None, sir.
Okay, we have no minutes. Commissioner items, Commissioner Kanda.
The TV towers are fine, nothing to report there, so I'm happy to say that. Merry Christmas. No complaints yet. That's really basically all I have that's different from last week, so let's just let it ride for now.
All righty. Commissioner
We were here for the CISA cybersecurity meeting. There's a lot they're gonna look at here, both from an IT standpoint and a building standpoint. And this is kind of through the state. So there's a lot that they can do for us, free of charge. At least, right, to us, it's still taxpayer funded dollars that funds them at a state level, but they'll come in and do those services for us with no additional cost to us. So we're gonna engage them in a few different things. One, to look at our security around the buildings and just within the buildings that we have, and give us a kind of a scenario and a what we maybe should do and where we should focus, and also from an IT standpoint, where's our risk, what should we be doing, what changes should we maybe make, and then we can decide what we want to do from there with what money we may or may not have. So Custer County Recycle Board meeting, attended that. They are kind of in agreement that they're kind of, they've kind of got this up and going. They are in agreement to dissolve that board. I've reached out to Dan Slater, hopefully, I was hoping he was kind of here, but asked for a resolution. Doesn't look like there was a resolution to make that board, so I'm waiting on Dan for next steps to dissolve that board. It's probably just a vote from us to dissolve that, but waiting on Dan.
We always looked at it as a private organization and came and we absorbed it somehow. We never did that. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's no resolution. Anyway.
Contracted, basically.
Several meetings with the sheriff this week and his office staff, just kind of projecting out strategizing a little bit, learn that. Oh, I went to the UCOG meeting for the changeover between Kevin and I on that board. So sat there for half of that meeting before I had to jet back up here for other things. And Lisa Hamon has been here all week, so.
Anything else?
No.
Yeah, not one of Buck's shorter meetings yesterday. So, went till about 2 o'clock or, well, actually 3 o'clock.
You never know.
So, then also I've been in contact, spoken to Lucas about that, but, I'm also getting him transitioned onto the sidewalk project. So Matt Pettit will be setting up another meeting shortly to get Lucas up to speed on that. And moving forward on that, I believe from what he told me yesterday that we probably will have enough dollars in the leftover from the previous round that we may not have to go out after other money to go into the construction phase, that we should be able to roll that right over into that. And that would save us quite a bit. That being said, the window for putting in for those other monies, I believe, is in January. And I will send that information to you, sir, as well. I'll stop there today as well. Caitlin, do you have anything for us today?
I don't know.
Thank you for compiling the information for everything that we're gonna look at later. No unfinished business. We won't have this new business until after our reports. We'll go into our elected official reports. We have the coroner. Are you representing
I
the?
will, yeah.
Okay. We'll get to you in a second. We do have a written report from Virginia. If you guys would like to look at that.
We have a written one from the sheriff as well.
Okay.
You wanna go in order?
I will do that. My apologies, I had, let's go to the sheriff.
Shows here he's running slightly under budget, 91.67% for the year. We kinda got our, an invoice finally from April through November from Fremont County Jail. Approximately 96,000 of the 125,000 that we budgeted
Aside.
for custody of prisoners has been spent. So we won't go over that by the end of the year, but over to the month of December, I should say. They hired 3 deputies in '24.
Actually, that's pretty good news. It was a busy year for the sheriff, with prisoners, so maybe we did estimate too high, huh?
Yeah.
you might.
Yeah, 96,000 is roughly right at, just over 2 people for a full year, so. Good.
You don't bill on a very regular basis, do you?
No, we need to work, Vernon and I are gonna work on that, seeing if we can get a more consistent billing cycle set up. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Welcome. Have a chair. We now have custody of donuts. I'm relinquishing that.
Nobody wants me to have custody of those. They will disappear.
Don't let them get away.
Anything else on the sheriff?
I don't.
All right, Virginia's report.
I move that we accept the report for their the month of October. And the ending balance is 9,612,629.64.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to accept the monthly treasurer's report for the month of October in the sum of $9,612,629.64. Further discussion.
Now, the self-insurance fund still sees a negative balance, but that should be fixed here, this week, so we'll make that transfer.
I'll explain what the self-insurance
So
fund does.
So the self-insurance fund pays for workman's comp and our overall liability insurance. And that is a front-end loaded, we make 2 payments. At the beginning of the year, roughly February, and it's roughly about $375,000, so. And that's a fund that didn't get front-end loaded like it should have, so we wouldn't have seen a negative, so. Now, going into next year, it'll be front-end
And we
loaded.
accounted for that when we did our budget, just so everybody knows.
Yep, so we'll go into the budget with enough money to cover that, and then we'll start collecting taxes, and so it'll slowly build up through the year, so it'll be front-end loaded again for the next year.
So,
Anything else here?
me.
All right, those in favor of approving the treasurer's report for the month of October signify by saying aye.
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 That motion carries.
By the way, I should have mentioned it on, but the good news is Road and Bridge has got $639,856 at the end of October. Don't know what those snowstorms did for that.
Yeah, actually, they didn't do too bad, they watched their fuel and whatnot.
Yeah, it's looking good.
So. Yeah, they gained actually a little bit in the balance that month. What was collected compared to what was spent.
Now you get to jump up.
Brad had conflicting meetings this morning, so I got the pleasure of getting to come and see you boys this morning. Good morning.
It's always good to see it, means nobody has died.
Yes, that's true.
Morning.
So I don't have a whole lot, which is a beautiful thing coming from the coroner's office. Our death totals are the same as last month's meeting, so hopefully we can round this year out with no more incidents. We had a 2-hour case study, Valor Technical Cleaning, which is a crime scene cleanup that we use here a lot. They're local in Pueblo, veteran owned, a great business to work with. But they had Michael Bodden, who is a world-renowned forensic pathologist for New York City, covered multiple high-profile cases. And he talked a lot about CO2 and poisonings that happen in the winter. But the most interesting thing is we went over the Epstein case, which was pretty neat, was pretty fascinating. So that gave 2 more hours of continued education for Brad and myself. We're working with Park County Coroner's Office to try to update some of our forms. We do not investigate hospice or hospital deaths unless there's a problem, or this year we had a lady that was on hospice in another county, came here on vacation, ended up passing here, and we did investigate hers, but not in any kind of criminal way, just to fill out reports for their doctor. But we need to update those forms, they haven't been updated in a while, just so we can have a true number on how many residents we're really losing in a year. We are under budget. I'm not sure by how much. I didn't have time to look it over before I came in. I got told at 8:15 I was doing this meeting, so.
I think you guys are under.
We are under, by a pretty good bit, yeah. And we are looking to replace radios. We're working with Robin at OEM because our radio in the Dodge, the new truck, it has the wrong channels. So we've never been able to communicate with that radio, which was kind of a downfall during the triple homicide a year ago because we couldn't use our radio to communicate with deputies or anything else. But other than that, I think that's pretty much what our department's got going on.
The coroner doesn't track all deaths in the county, right?
Not
Currently.
on an investigative basis. So hospice is supposed to call and let us know, or hospital deaths, because those doctors sign off on those death certificates. And if there's not anything hinky, then no, we don't. We keep up with them just so we've got a good total, you know, of how many residents actually passed.
Okay,
So
so we have that number as well.
not right now, because
Okay,
hospice wasn't updated with the new coroner's information.
Okay.
So they've not been contacted, Mr. Balsley.
okay.
So that's all I have for you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yep, you're very welcome. Yeah.
Take a donut with you.
Yeah.
All right. Next we have the Veteran Service.
Oh, I told him I would text him when it was getting close. Guess I
Oh,
better do
you
that.
maybe ought to go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Getting close.
We shot through those first 3 pretty quick.
Yeah.
Surprised you.
Just trying to get a meeting down to 13 minutes and 52 seconds.
Not with this.
Next week.
Y'all got a minute.
30 seconds. The surprise burn where it runs.
He'll probably be back over here in a minute. You wanna go ahead and, skip over him till he shows up?
He did have a written report too.
He's got something to sign as well. He's here, I saw him.
You got it texted, kind of, okay. While we're waiting on him, since Bob's in the room, let's go ahead and do, Human Resources, come on up, Bob.
Bob.
Thank you, sir.
Come on. Okay. Leaving those there is maintained to be nice, but that means I'm tempted to eat one. So open enrollment is well underway and the employee election period is done. Those wanting to make changes to their benefits, they've all been submitted, or the ones that I can get to reply have been submitted. Those change forms have been forwarded to CTSI or the voluntary benefits providers. Currently in the process of creating personal action forms for every one of those, which is the authorization to go into the system and actually create the changes. It's the tracking form which follows that process and has the signatures to authorize those changes be made. Those are being done, as well as the PAFs for the COLA adjustment, which is in, as I understand, is in 2025 budget for the 3%. So Monique is currently right now creating personal action forms for those. So all that's being done. The changes is right now scheduled to be input into the system January 13th, just ahead of the payroll process starting for the first full pay period in January, which is what those will take effect of. So, because the last one and first one actually in January covers 24, half of each year. So in order for it to be budget needs, it actually will take, they won't hit pay checks until February, because that's when that check comes out.
Okay.
The new employees, Kristen Cunningham, accounts payable technician, she started December 4th. Our IT technology support specialist, John Mapes, started December 9th. He's a transfer from the assessor's office. And then planning and zoning grant assistant, she started December 9th. That's a grant funded position.
That's a what position?
Grant funded. That I don't know much about the grant that they have, but to transition and digitize, I guess, all their equipment.
All year.
Yeah, so I think it's 2 years long, and I think there's enough in that grant to support one full-time person. And I suggested to Dorothy that you do it part-time, you'll get a better response and gives you some more flexibility, so that's one of those two is on. Our human resources and payroll technician, new hire Monique is on. She started on the 17th and going through orientation and just kind of getting her used to process here and the tasks in front of us, and she's actually starting to do some work, so that's excellent. Vicki White, who's the DHS director, replacement for Laura, who's retiring, I think January 15th, in that neighborhood is Laura's last day. She actually starts today. And then the assessor's office, again, this is to replace the employee leaving there, Talia Goldson, so she starts in January. So those are people coming on. There are currently posted positions that are actually the finance director and the DHS caseworker. There are several positions that we're in process of creating the recruitments for. And so road and bridge equipment operator filling the position, and Mr. Vogelsong. So that will be soon, I'm guessing, shooting for next week for all these to be actually posted and sent out and opened up and recruited. A part-time veteran services assistant, that one's in the budget. So we're creating the job description for it. And then at the same time, updating the job description for the full-time veteran services officer. Then we'll be recruiting a part-time groundskeeper position to replace Dave Roscoe, who's retired. Then working with post the 4-H coordinator position, working with updating the job description for that, because Caitlin moved over from there to here, so we'll be posting that. Sheriff's office has a patrol deputy position that they're recruiting to replace Mr. Barr, and then a detention deputy position to replace Mrs. Kroga. So those are in process.
You don't have those written down here.
No, that's because I remembered them
Yeah.
after I gave you yours,
Yeah.
and so I thought I wanted to put
And
them on.
he and I were talking earlier, there's other vacancies total, or these, would that count for every vacancy that we know of?
That's the vacancies,
In all the departments?
yes, with the exception of just the other day, I received a resignation letter for a position over in public health. So that isn't, they're not gone, but they're in process of. So that's kind of, that's not on here, but that one is in the process of being vacant,
So it's about a dozen. sounds
Yeah.
like, people.
right in that vicinity. Now, I know at one point, the board talked about wanting to hire a full-time grants administrator. I haven't focused on that. Wanted to make sure it was in next year's budget, and I haven't had any direction if you still wants to go that
We'll have
way.
a discussion, I think.
Right, so,
Yeah,
yeah,
we can discuss that later. And
Yeah.
the person that was kind of become available, looks like she got
Yes.
state funded
Yeah.
for another year, so.
yeah. So I haven't really focused on that one, just
Okay.
because I know there's the back history of all that.
Don't think that's a priority right now.
So
Right, this
those are all the ones that I'm aware of. I think the Emergency Operations Director has a grant she's working on that would possibly trigger a position, but I haven't put that in here because I don't
We
know,
don't know yet.
I don't know that one yet. So that's kind of where we're at with the positions in process and former starting to work on. Resignations, Mr. Vogelson, coming on, resigning from the Road and Bridge, coming onto the board. Dave Roscoe is retiring, and then Barbie Anderson from the Treasurer's Office is resigning, and then Jen, of course, everybody is going from here
Yeah.
to there. So, and that'll be January 2nd. And then Laura Lockhart, we mentioned before. Okay? So, a while back, I brought to the board, and we had a discussion about needing to modify the sick and vacation policy because of the reference to date that had passed. And then I had asked to extend it to September 30th, so I'd have time to work on it. Well, that time, anticipated time to work on finding out what the real number is, has passed, and I haven't had time for the reasons I think we all know. So I don't know, with Monique on now, some of the stuff that was making it not possible for me to get there will be shifted over to her. So some of the bigger projects like this one and, some of those things will now have the ability to do that, so I will update you. All of our vehicle insurance is covered through CTSI. It's a fleet policy, and this isn't on your report because it just came in, but the ID cards have been issued. No, I received the email from CTSI and I've turned those around to all the department heads. Just saying, hey, this is a fleet policy, print this one out. I gave them a copy of it, print it out, put it in all your vehicles. It won't identify every vehicle because it's a fleet policy. So just print it out, put it in all your vehicles. And then I have a master copy that I keep in my office in case there's ever a question. So the IRS has increased the annual amount that an individual can contribute to their retirement plan. Historically, there have been 3 contribution limits: the regular salary limit, the age 50 plus catch-up, and a 3-year catch-up limit. They've added a new one this year. It's a category for 60 to 63, so I have a copy of that. I'll be working through our contributions and how we're set up to deduct and giving the employees a chance that they want to change based on the information,
Affects all of them, every employee.
potentially, and so letting them know. Apologies. I'm in the process of completing our annual federal occupational employment and wage statistics report. It's just pulling numbers together and filling it out for the feds, filling that in and sending that in, so that's in process. I've arranged with CTSI to produce our 1094 and 1095 reports, which is an annual report that goes out to every employee, and then a master sent to the feds that shows what each employee had throughout the year is related to their benefits, medical, dental, and vision. So that's similar to like the employee gets their wage reports from the city, or from the county. We have a new client services manager for our retirement plan, so Francisco. He's been given a different territory. And the new gentleman's name is Ian Vander. I haven't met him yet. I just know how to contact him. So I'm passing that on. A draft of revisions I've been working on updating the employee handbook and policies and procedures manual. It's been a project I've been working on shortly after I started, but it's fairly lengthy and time consuming. So I've worked on it as I've had time. And so a rough draft of that is done. I think I've given the three of you that rough draft. I would like to schedule after the new board, Mr. Vogelson's on, to schedule work sessions to go through that with the board and the other elected officials to go through that, because ultimately that becomes your policy. So I'd like to be also sending that out to the other elected officials so they can start
Comments.
writing comments or whatever. And so giving them copies to do that as well. When I started, I learned that the county does not have a established classification pay scale. In other words, a scale that lists all the positions and the range of pay for that position. So when you hire somebody, you know there's a range that you can pay them in, or when you give raises or whatever. That document is the controlling document for that whole process. And so we didn't have one. We really should. In many places, it's considered best
I've
practices.
been wanting one. We just
Yeah.
haven't gotten it done.
And so I've been working on it, and because we didn't have one, the starting point was to take the employees we have, break them into what I call labor classifications. Here's an example copy for you. Picture. And I can do that to you, but eventually they'll approve that. But breaks it in between classifications, administrative and support, trades and labor, paraprofessional, executive, and emergency services. And they're grouped by that based on a definition of commonality, whether it has to have advanced training, or it's a support services position, or it's a position where the experience is earned by on-the-job certifications, those kinds of things. And so the positions in each of those pay grades, their current wage places them similarly within the pay range on that sheet I gave you, would be minimum max. And it breaks out within those pay grades. So, what we'd like to do is establish that as the beginning point as a control document for our pay plan. And bring that to you after you've had a chance to look at it, put it on the agenda, and have a chance to look
Gather
at
up
it.
those two items, the items that you need to have us take a look at, put them on one agenda.
Yep.
Consider each one separately.
Yep. How that's ultimately down the road, how that type of a document grows is when you do a wage and classification wage study, is you gather the wage current wages for similar positions in what they call benchmark communities, or other counties or private sector that are within our, who we compete against, or we would benchmark ourselves against, Fremont County as an example. Then you take and compare those, find their current average wage, that becomes the market value for equipment operator, for every position. Then you compare that to us, and then you have discussions about if you want to be at benchmark, if you want to be 100% of that, or off. That scale is set up so there's a, between the minimum and max on that list is 45%. So there's a 45% spread between the minimum and max of that scale. And that carries throughout the whole system. And, okay?
Good.
So we can have further discussions on that, but I wanted to get you an advance copy of that. And that's all I have.
You're good.
Thank
Thanks.
you, sir. And
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
sir,
Oops, sorry.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Dominique is up.
yes, he is.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thanks for not running me over this morning.
Yeah. Oh, just to get you out of the way.
That's why he said he saw you this morning.
I forget. Oh. Just think Monday I was on a beach in shorts. Well, I was Corpus Christi, I don't know how much of a beach it is. But...
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready whenever you are.
Jump right in.
Okay. All right, so for November, I was in the office 11 out of 14 days. 3 of those days I was on leave. That was the Thanksgiving week, even though I was working every day. Scheduled appointments, I had 45. There was 1 no-show, 6 canceled due to weather. And I had 5 home visits that were not scheduled. 23 walk-ins. New power of attorneys, I had 11 of those submitted. 8 new intent to files. 9 new and increased claims were submitted, 5 supplementals, and then 1 high level review, which that number is gonna uptick because I'm gonna go through and look at all the denials that I've had. And again, probably 90% of the denials that I've got are all mistakes on the VA's part, so I'm gonna have to go back and purge through every one of those and get those all moving again. I mean, just the mistakes are, I mean, it's bordering on, I'm not gonna say bordering, it is incompetence and laziness on parts of the folks at the VA. And I'm surprised I still have a job this week after I sent a scathing email to them last week. Moving on, no new IU claims, that's the individual unemployability. So it brings us to a total of 340 claims. 282 of those have been rated so far. So almost 83% of the claims have been rated. And again, a big chunk of those are mistakes on the VA's part. I've got to go back and push back. No new burial reimbursements have been submitted. I am working on 1 right now. Actually, I'm working on 2 right now. Survivor benefits, no new ones there. Again, I've done 1 that I'm working on, well, actually 2 that I'm working on. But I don't think much of it's gonna come from either one of those because the veteran had never filed a claim, and it's gonna be near impossible trying to find something that I can tie to cause of death. No new VA debt waivers. Increase in compensation, 53 of the 78 that were new or first time claims are service connected and receiving compensation. So that's almost a 68% of those folks. Increased monthly compensation is up to $154,000 a month. And again, that's tax-free federal dollars that come in every month. And then retro payments, I just eclipsed $1 million last month on back payments. And then 2 of those retro payments are pending the DFAS audits. So with the DFAS audits, I didn't know if I get somebody that is a retiree that's under 50% and I get them over 50%, and then they get their two separate checks. They get one from DFAS from their retirement and then one from the VA. Whereas under 50%, that portion that they would get from the VA is taken out of their retirement check from DFAS and then given to the veteran untaxed. And then they get the remaining portion taxed and given to them. I didn't know there was actually a back payment. I wasn't sure if there was or was not a back payment from DFAS, but there is, and I figured out how to calculate that now. So I'll put that in the next report showing that additional money that was coming in from those things too. That they do get a back payment from DFAS and a back payment from the VA. So that'd be a significant chunk of change as well. So just going from August 1st of last year through the end of this year, we're $2.25 million in increased compensation, including back payments. And again, I've listed out the counties and additional states that are receiving stuff out of that. The ones that have an asterisk in there, those are ones that saw an increase over the last month. So it shows that there was a bump. And then I've got the number of veterans that I got to 100% in those counties or states as well. Just to add some more information in there. But 1.6 million is directly coming into Custer County. And again, I didn't calculate that DFAS payment in that as well, so that'll bump it significantly. 26 veterans are 100% directly from my claims, and an additional 5, so we're at 31 veterans that are 100% from either me getting involved or just filing their claims. I got my pie chart because again, everybody loves pie. And this has a breakdown. This is up to date as of the end of last week. Because I haven't updated it this week. But we're looking at the one side that doesn't have the big white chunk. 75.6% is favorable. And you can see the active denials. Active denials is a 59. And I will tell you 10 of those are legit and the rest are all mistakes on the VA's part. So that's why I want to go back through and start fixing those, so that blue chunk will get bigger. They did make a mistake on a pretty significant claim. I found a $250,000 mistake on somebody's claims. They awarded it. They didn't give them the back pay that they should have done. And then they pushed back on my pushback and said no, and cited that I gave them new and relevant evidence. I didn't give them anything new and relevant as it was pertaining to the veteran's claim condition. I just gave them their mistakes that they were making. So that's not new and relevant. The whole point of that is to fix their errors.
They're accepting they're done.
So I've got to push back again on that one. So yeah, it's frustrating dealing with the just, I mean, it's just ongoing everyday mistakes. And I questioned them last week on that email that I sent them. I'm like, you know, I don't get paid to be your quality control, but here I am yet again running quality control. I did check my email to see if any of them responded, and there was about 12 people on the email, and not one of them responded, which I'm not surprised. So claims pending right now, we're at about 30% of total. So looking at the other side for the big white chunk, about 30% of my claims haven't been rated yet. So those are still pending. And like I said, I haven't checked the status since Wednesday of last week to see if any have gone through. So I'll have to go back to this week and see if anybody else has gone through. As far as the VAG goes, I did put in for a second reimbursement, so that's pending. But I've used a total of 8,600 out of that. So we've still got 21,000 available to use, which I'm hoping to get through. There are a couple of things that I've got out right now pending that I'm waiting for the veteran to bring me back the receipt so I can put in another reimbursement. So I'll take us over that 10,000. As far as charitable donations go, I did get 2 more donations this month, so that's actually bumped the numbers. But I am helping a widow who's on a fixed income whose stove just died. So that was something that somebody reached out to me over the weekend. So I'll be working on getting them a new stove out of that charitable donation money. And then somebody that I got a significant rating and back pay told me she's going to come in next week and give me a sizable donation from the back payment that she got, which will be nice for this. As far as outreach goes, every month I go over and I brief the Legion. We had the Veterans Day banquet over at Valley Bible, which was on the 9th. We had a pig roast on the 11th with the Veterans Rescue Ranch, which is something they want to do every year. I met with the local quilting group here, which is the Old School House Quilters. They provide us quilts for veterans and then small quilts for the children of service members and veterans. Which we have had an influx of younger veteran families moving into the community. So I've been able to go through quite a few of those quilts for kids. Was out in Wetmore on the 14th. We had 3 veterans come in. One of them was new. We had one widow come in as well. We had our Veterans Coffee Social, which again is every Wednesday. We had 5 in the month of November. We had to cancel the one obviously because of the weather. But then we're averaging, 10 to 12 veterans a week. And like I said, I would say every other week we get somebody new. And then I'm always constantly sharing stuff on social media. Upcoming stuff, well, I already briefed the Legion this month. The Wreaths Across America was this past weekend. I wasn't here for that. They also had the auxiliary Christmas party. Again, I wasn't here for that. The 21st, which is this Saturday, they have the Toys for Tots distribution over at Cliff Lanes. So I'll be over there helping them out with that. And then I did not do outreach in Wetmore because I was down in Texas. And that is all I have.
On the beach.
Yeah, well, like I said, it was colder, so I can't really call it a beach.
Did you tell them that, the state was looking to buy you back?
Huh. Yeah, they can try. They couldn't offer me enough money, sorry. Not
He
sorry.
does a good job.
Sorry, not sorry. I
Thank
did,
heavens he decided he liked the weather here better.
I did take the, like I said, I did take that president role with the Colorado Veteran Service Officer Association. So I will be working a little more closely with the director for the Colorado Division of Veterans Affairs and just making sure that we're all on the same page. I guess last Wednesday they have a Wednesday coffee chat on Zoom with all the VSOs. I don't like to get on that coffee chat because it's the same usual suspects that like to whine and complain and offer no solutions. And I don't do well with that. If you're gonna come to the table with a problem, then come with solutions. So I didn't get on it, but apparently the director was on there and talking about his vision for moving forward. And a lot of the old guard just saw it as a, well, you're trying to push the old guys out. No, it's not. You gotta keep up with the demand of what's going on in the state. Your job is to help veterans and their families. And if you can't keep up with technology and you're not willing to learn, then step aside. It's really quite that simple. You're getting paid to do a job. If you don't want to do your job, then move along. We can get other folks in that and get them trained up and, set a standard across the state, which is lacking. I mean, I could say other things, but I'm not going to, but, yeah, there's no standard in the state for services for veterans. You go in one county VSO's office and then go in somebody else's and it's a completely different experience, and it should not be the case. So we're gonna be working to try and change that across the state, so I'm not getting inundated with people reaching out to me from 5 counties away trying to get help because their VSO is not doing the job.
Can't do it.
Right, so, and they all know how I feel about it, and they were warned when I took that VP role, you're gonna get what you get. So, when Marshall stepped down and I got bumped up into the place, well, yeah, I told y'all,
Can't say they weren't warned.
you're right, so don't complain now. So, yeah, I'll be working more closely with Bruce Cowan, he's the director for the division. So, we'll see if we can start making some change across the state.
Well, thanks.
But again, I'm not gonna make that take up a large chunk of my time. But that's all I had.
Yeah, I stopped by the table there at CCI and of course they had high praise for you as well, so. But
They're lying.
they might have been, but I wasn't.
Well, I guess it depends on who you talk to.
So, but yeah, well, thank you. I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the CVA 26.
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve and sign I'm gonna assume that was part of the motion. The CVA 26 for VSO.
Oh, and I did talk to the Legion, the VFW, about the building proposal for Veteran Center. And I'll be sitting down and speaking with their executive boards respectively and figuring out how they wanna move forward with that.
Okay, let me know if you need to know.
Okay.
Alright. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Those in favor of approving CVA 26 signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. There you go, sir.
Thank you, sir. And then next month, I'll need the CVA 26 signed sooner, cause we got that 6-month stipend I've gotta have in by, I think, the 5th of January. So I'll have to have December's CVA 26 signed before that, so we can get the stipend from the state.
Get a hold of it.
We can do it on the 26th.
Yeah.
We've got a meeting on the
Okay,
26th.
okay, yeah, then I
So we
can,
can do December.
Wrap it up.
yeah, I can get it into. Okay,
Yeah.
alright, thank you, appreciate your time.
Thank you,
And
sir.
your support.
Yep.
Okay, sir.
Vernon, you're up.
Okay. Good morning, all.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Well, this just isn't fair.
It's not, is it?
It's a test.
Willpower?
There's no
I
pass or
already
fail.
indulged, so it's all good. My IT report is, pretty much normal. We did hire a new IT specialist, John Mapes. Last few weeks, been onboarding and training in the computers and systems that we have here in the county. Not included in that report is we did have a meeting with the feds. That was very interesting and enlightening, about cybersecurity and the possibilities of training and testing. I think Commissioner Epp mentioned that earlier in his commissioner report. We've created some new computers for several different departments as they expand certain of their operations. Human resources and payroll, as well as the SIPA grant, data entry for the planning and zoning office. They were supposed to get a grant for that, but that didn't go through, so we refurbished an old computer. Still having some Tyler connection issues. It was pretty stable for about a week and a half, and then it started instability, and we have a fix that John and I are going to go work on first thing next week to resolve that. And then new Xerox printer installs, still working on certain issues. The new Xerox, they have certain communication protocols that we have to reconfigure some of our routers to get it to scan into the documents folder and such. So that's basically my report.
Two things.
Yes, sir.
Talk more about John Mapes. I was impressed with him. He's got a good background and you're using him to,
Yes, sir.
hardware wise, explain it.
Yes, so John has a strong background as a Navy IT tech. He's very, very good with technology management, as well as how to, the best way to configure hardware and putting it in place and such. We've already done a couple of new projects that he's just really excelled at. He's also a surveyor. He has a strong background in surveying and mapping, and he's going to be moving into doing certain GIS work as well. So he's a strong employee, and I've been really impressed with him the last, with the few weeks I've worked with him.
I was impressed with him, just in short
Just
talk.
just in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
The other question I had, how come we went down the other day?
What?
When there was a problem with these, I don't know what it was.
FirstNet towers?
Yeah.
FirstNet had had a piece of hardware go out in Canyon City that affected the FirstNet network. We did get a deployable up here, and then we were back online within about 24 hours. It took a little bit longer to get the AT&T tower on, excuse me, on Lookout Mountain back up and operational. I think that took about a week. FirstNet and AT&T, FirstNet is AT&T, but AT&T is not FirstNet. So FirstNet is the network that exists primarily for first responders. It's a certain bandwidth that AT&T bought specifically to make certain we have emergency communications. It is usually much more stable than any other networking system. It actually, we have a tower right out here, and we have a fiber connection in the basement for them, in the basement of the county building. This was some type of hardware provisioning issue in Canyon City. It happened, unfortunately, at the exact same time as certain denial of service attacks around the country. So we were really stressed about whether or not there was something else going on, but it turned out to be, after working with our FirstNet rep, it turned out to be the hardware issue in Canyon. So, as I said, FirstNet was back up within about 24 hours. That's always their priority because that's
Emergency broadcast
first responder.
system.
Well, yeah, first responder communications, and then TV tower took about a week to get back operational again. Because they are not fed off of this tower or the fiber, they're actually fed on a transmission from Canyon up to Lookout Mountain. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Take a couple of those
Thanks,
with you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're not selling them very
I'm not getting rid of them. You
No.
need a chair and put over there so that people can come and get invigorated.
All right, finance report.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Sorry about that.
Good morning.
Lisa, welcome.
Okay, are you guys ready?
Yep, yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll go over a little bit what we've done in the past few weeks, what I've been working on this week. In the past couple weeks, we reviewed the budget that was compiled by Vernon, looked for, make sure it was clerically accurate. I looked at his resolutions to make sure they looked good, and it looked really good this year. You guys did a nice job. Vernon did a good job. And you got it balanced, as
Well, all but two.
Yeah.
Didn't balance general completely, or DHS, but we're within 100,000 on each, so,
That's
or
great.
close to it, so.
That's great. My current week focus has been on bank reconciliation. So I've been working closely with Virginia to go over some of her reconciling items and see how those flow through. Some of the payroll items, there are always little tiny small discrepancies between what CIC shows and what goes through the bank. And so we're working to determine what causes those differences. And I think that Jen has a question into CIC. It was Jen or Vernon had a question into CIC about how the retirement comes out, how it gets wired, and then how that shows up in CIC and the bank. Credit card activity review. I've had one of my staff people going through all of the credit cards for UMB and Kirkpatrick for 22, 23, and what we have so far in 24. For the Kirkpatrick one, she's gone through all of the transactions in those cards, and she has a list of everything she was unable to find in CIC. So I've got those lists put together. The burden's on me now to finish reviewing her lists and put together a full report. But she's been through all of those and tried to trace them through.
Okay.
The lists are pretty lengthy, so we'll go through those again and see if maybe they're parts of other transactions.
Okay.
So the way that those flow through sometimes is you'll have multiple line items on the credit card for something, but it shows up as one item in CIC. And so then you have to find that and then click through and see if the receipt's there also.
Okay.
So that's what's so time consuming.
Yeah, it's almost like another ledger, cause you have one card services line sometimes, and then you have all these lines that are underneath that one.
Yeah, yeah, and you have to click through and look at the image, and a lot of times there will be multiple receipts for one line item in CIC for multiple line items in a credit card, if that makes any sense, so you're taking,
We've seen it on our reports because, and then certain department heads will say, well, how come I'm paying this much? My bill's only, you know, way
Uh-huh.
smaller. But then you go in and look, they were the last entry on that, and so they're either the first or the last entry, so they're the one that gets named on the report as having that bill. And,
Right.
So,
So are we having a problem with receipts? Finding them?
no, it's time consuming to find them in CIC. So once you find where the receipt is, then you have to click
For
through
those years?
and, yeah, and look for the receipt, look for the image and try to click through and see.
So we still
what was
searching
covered.
for all the receipts from 2010 on up,
Not 2010.
or whatever it was, 17?
Well, so far what I have, I've only received the 22 and 23 Kirkpatrick cards. And then I have all the UMB cards, I think from the time that started, which I believe was end of 2023, halfway through 2023.
Yeah, UMB got started about sometime in 23, June, July of 23.
Through the current period is what I have. So I don't have anything prior to 2022.
I think you told me to.
We'd have to go back through Kirkpatrick, we'd have to call TSM or whoever their service provider is for the credit cards, not Kirkpatrick, but, and go through and then ask them for reports, cause we only have access online through 22, so we'll have to have them either grant us access or send us what those are. So I wanted UMB done and out of place first, and then we can go back to
Chase all the rest of
Kirkpatrick
them.
and we can chase back to where we started, either carrying balance. But since our AP was always set up at the end of the month, we always carried balance because
Missed it.
our bill was always due before we ever ran AP. So that's been that way ever since we started using at least county issued credit cards, so. What Donna had with her own credit card, and let the county use it, that operated completely different. That card probably got paid on time. But, so,
But we're gonna catch up and do away with that finding eventually.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's time consuming and I apologize for that. And I think Kylie has been through the UMB statements too. We kind of took those, one started in 24 and worked backwards, just so we're looking at.
That
current
was a lot
stuff.
easier.
UMB is a lot easier, especially once you just had UMB. It was
Yeah.
difficult the year during 2023 when you had Kirkpatrick and UMB, then it's really difficult to trace them through CIC because you just have credit card line items and you're not sure exactly
Which one it was.
they belong to.
Okay.
Another thing I've been working on is the reconciliation of the Department of Human Services Fund, so just reconciling with that monthly settlement statement from the state. That's not a real complicated process. And then I'm working on reconciling the balance sheet, so just pulling up a trial balance at November 30th and start reconciling that balance sheet. So we're ready at the end of the year to just prepare for end of year journal entries and getting ready for the audit. My idea is I'm going to document what I'm doing and give it to Vernon so that he knows exactly what I'm doing to reconcile that balance sheet. And then going forward, he can have that documentation so it can just be replicated year after year.
Awesome.
And then I'll work with him too to contact department heads and say, these are the things that we'll need to do at the end of the year to make sure we're ready for the audit. One of the big things is making sure that if people have incurred expenditures at the end of the year that can be reimbursed by grants, to make sure they're getting those requests for reimbursements done as soon as they can. January would be best, February at the latest, and then you can book all of those receivables and have the receivables and revenue ready to go for the audit and have the year closed out. And the same with payables. For all the expenditures that are incurred in 2024, working to make sure that they get recognized in 2024 as accounts payable, and then you don't have to do those adjusting journal entries that always end up as part of the audit. You just have those expenditures booked where they're supposed to be and ready to go at the end of the year. Having the request for reimbursement all done and all of the revenues and receivables all together also aids in putting together that schedule of expenditures of federal awards. And that lists all of the federal grants you got during the year and spent, and the auditor uses that to determine what they have to test as part of the single audit. That single audit threshold, I think for this year for the county is still $750,000, but it goes up to $1 million next year.
Yeah, but it's for the 25 audit.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, if you guys fell under that single audit threshold, it would probably save you some money on the audit too. Quite a bit of work. And I think that's all that I have.
She's also gonna get us an RFP that other counties are using to go out for, auditors.
Yeah,
yeah.
So
And
she's
I asked
gonna gather that up for us, so we can, cause we need to do that soon.
yeah, and I think I know I have one at my office that I can send to you. I might be able to get you one today.
Good.
I'll go out and look and see what there is, so.
Yeah, that's one question I was gonna ask, and how about leases, are we all good? on the
That's
leases?
another thing we'll look at the end of the year, have everybody get their leases together, if there's anything new. I'm not sure if Vernon ever got the lease schedule, like the amortization schedules that the auditor did, but we can get those too and make sure that everything's updated, that you still have those leases. If there are any new ones, we can add them,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, and I think we're trying to be more careful that as the leases come through here and we sign them, we're gathering them up. Kelly gets a copy, finance gets a copy.
Yeah, it shouldn't be nearly the task it was
Yeah,
before.
they were all helter-skelter everywhere.
Yeah,
Okay,
No, and the airport's gonna redo their schedule.
yeah,
and
they're
how
getting
they
everything
do
on
them.
the same
Yeah,
date.
same renewal
Yeah.
date, so that we don't get these different lease periods and different end dates. It's always January 1st or whatever, December 31st.
Yeah, they did a good job of cleaning that up, very good job.
yeah, those hangar leases are,
Yeah, infamous.
yes.
We probably need to look at renewing your contract then, and what that looks like for next year, going into next year, so.
Yeah,
Cause I
let's
think it was
talk.
through the end of the year, or was it into
Mid-March.
July
I
of
think it
next
was a
year?
year, but really it's a year-to-year thing.
Okay.
Because, you know, you're a local government, you have to follow Tabor laws. You could only have a 1-year contract anyway.
Yeah,
You can't
right,
obligate the
right.
county for more than 1 year. And I made mine, so this is what I'll charge you for a year, but either one of us can get out at any time. So it's
Well,
really
maybe-
anytime you wanna change that contract.
When did we
can
do
sit
it?
down.
It was,
I think around July
July.
1st was around, and we made it for a year, but I'm wondering if we should go on a calendar year and just set it up, what we wanna do this next year, and,
I think that'd be
could
great.
reset it in January,
yeah.
Yep.
So,
okay?
Yeah, and if you have ideas about, you know, what you'd like
Okay.
that to look at, then just send them to me and I
Okay.
can put together something too.
alright,
So,
sounds good.
all right.
Did you work with Bob, back in the back there with the, HR finance, or the finance director, where we resent it out?
Did you just, I didn't, did you just
Bob,
resend it out
You
recently?
reworked that, didn't you? You had it on your
The
list,
posting of it?
yeah.
I haven't, because where you were considering whether you want to use Vernon or bring it on,
Well, we
it
were-
hasn't been resent, didn't want to expend county funds if we were going to do in-house.
Thought we, said we were gonna
So do you
put it
want
out
to
there
do
and
that?
still
or
work
not?
it while we were waiting for people to apply.
So, here's what I've experienced just over the last 2 weeks. There's many boards that are looking for CFOs. If they're accountants, they want nothing to do with managing the department. So if we're still stuck, or if we're still going to look at our CFO needs to be an accountant, we're looking for a unicorn.
Maybe. But we didn't get it advertised
So
far
I
enough,
have
didn't
not reposted
to make
because
that.
I'm unsure of what the board wants, and I don't know which way to go. So I'm trying to get a feel from the board as to
We
what.
can look at the first
You know.
year afterwards.
Our meeting yesterday at the COG, they are looking for the same position as well. How many are open statewide now and from places that have a lot more money to throw at the situation than what we have?
And are closer to bigger city where somebody's
Yeah.
willing to commute.
And they can't fill those positions.
I just, I'm feel between two directions of pulling and needing to expend county resources funds, because it's not cheap.
Well, what I wanna know is what it costs us to go advertise before I make that decision, and then we can do that, we can take a
You're
look at
gonna
what that gain is over what we're spending.
I can give you what I believe it will cost, but I don't have a breakdown that I can use.
Well, and then, we were gonna go nationwide, and then we were
Right.
gonna go statewide, we're gonna have the state commission, what do they call the auditors, or the
But
CPA,
the GFOA,
that, and
employment,
they were, certified public accountants.
like the Colorado Society.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
To rewrite it with us and see what it is, but then let's see what it would cost, and because we do need a leader in the department. Now, we can change it up and do something that you suggest if it looks like we're never gonna get it. But I'm not giving up hope yet on that, or that requirement, because we need to look at what we can afford, and let's look at the bands that are there. Also, it's different because a lot of different places that are asking for them aren't Custer County. I mean, we're unique in a different way. I know we've got a lot of people that
That's
are
for
retired.
sure. I will say. We are definitely different.
We do have a lot of retired CPAs out there, or finance
Yeah.
people that haven't, and depending on what it would be, whether they wanna come out of retirement enough to go work or not, or whatever it is.
Well, but
Yeah.
I think what Bob is saying is that we've got at least one commissioner saying, let's repost what we have. We've got at least one commissioner saying, that may not be something that is realistic.
Right.
And so he doesn't know what to post, even if you were to say post, so you
So
guys
that's why I
need to sit
wanna take
together
a
and
look
have
at
a
the data
conversation.
Yeah,
and then come to an agreement on
Okay.
that.
So let's put a cost together by the 9th. We're gonna meet the 9th
Yeah.
of January.
Yeah.
I can give you that's a very doable.
So let's put a cost together, what that costs to
A
do it
recruitment
for the
plan.
rest of January for
Right.
3 weeks, and
So, yeah, because I haven't done it because.
I'm not blaming you, I'm just saying
Yeah.
we need to do something, and that.
Well, I agree.
You had it on your calendar, it looked like you had, the way you presented it, looked like you had posted it. You were
Well, it
looking
has
for a
been
finance
posted,
director.
and it's been posted and spread
But
out
but
again,
where?
but they, CGFOA, GFOA, the place that you had mentioned, as well as the local newspaper.
And when was that, Bob? It's been a while ago.
It's been a while, it's probably been
Like
2 months.
three
2 or 3
ago or
months.
something. So let's get a real plan, a recruitment thing, and let's see what it's gonna cost, and let's see what the gain, what we could afford. Given we're splitting the money across, and I don't mind hiring and it's a good thing, and other counties hire an independent like you, come in and say, okay, let's do a spot check. That's a good thing.
The research that I have found is that many, in Colorado, cities and counties are having great difficulty in hiring that level, so they've gone out to people like Lisa and contracted with them because they can't get anybody.
The other thing that I've seen them do too, and you've heard of it, is 3 or 4 counties that are similar will have one director quote for the counties, and I don't know whether that'd work or not, to tell you the truth, but there are options.
well, from what I'm starting to see out there, I'm glad we got Redlands first,
Yeah,
because
she'd have been snatched up.
her business will build quickly from
Yes.
what
I hope.
I've seen out there, so.
Yeah, it is a national shortage. The Wall Street Journal had an article this year about how bond ratings are being dropped on a lot of municipalities because they
Yeah.
can't, they don't have the staff to be able to account properly for their municipalities, and they can't find auditors who can come in and audit anything. So their bond ratings are getting dropped because they have late audits. Or they're not able to
That
get
could
things
impact
filed.
us in the future.
Yeah, we've done a
Go
poor
for
job of
Justice
attracting people to this.
Yeah,
This unique county.
unique.
Well, this
Right.
profession in
So from-
general.
That I
that
can
too.
have some unified direction of what you wanna do, it's not, you're not making a decision, but
Let's get the data together.
sure, I can do it.
Go ahead.
Apologies
Thanks.
for your differing direction.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks. Thank you. Yep, thank you.
Are you taking off for the junction?
I'm gonna take.
Not till about 2 probably,
Okay, all right.
so we'll catch up before then.
Her
Sounds
ride
good,
isn't
thank
here
you.
yet. Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, DHS.
So are we waiting to post these until after the meeting? Is that our process?
Post what?
Online?
These?
Yeah, the report so people can see them
Yeah, cause sometimes we don't get them until last minute,
last minute.
so. Yeah, we usually, she posts them after the meeting, within a day or two.
Okay.
Caitlin does, I shouldn't say she.
It'd be nice if we could have some of them done beforehand, that'd be good. I don't know how we can do it, but people can have questions and come in here and ask them instead of watching us look at it. And
Well,
wondering what we're looking at.
I'll let you talk to Virginia about
Yeah,
the
I know.
report a week ahead of time.
Or any of these reports.
Yeah,
There's some you can't do. So there, I didn't see anything out of sync with anything else that she's put in here to talk about, did you?
Colorado Works is up, but it's cold, so, that went up to 8 payments instead of the usual 5, 6.
Hmm.
Otherwise, child welfare out of home placement's the same. Snaps up a little bit for November.
And her TFAP.
Yeah, TFAP is up.
And last we talked, we had, this is just something aside, roof leak wise, cold wise, heater wise, feel okay over there? Last I heard.
So I think so.
Yeah.
So we will have to address that next year. So I talked to Matt about that. He needs to go out for 3 bids as soon as the first year
Yeah.
comes around.
Never did get the unit back that's been out for warranty for a year and a half now.
No, but he put a different unit in there, yeah, so.
I'm good.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Road Bridge. One thing, it's not on here, but, on the roller, they have a leak in the case on the hydraulic pump. Trying to find something that they can work with there, cause that's, not finding parts for that. And that was an engine removal to get to that. Well, that was found during that, but they had to pull that engine out to do some other work.
Not much new there, huh?
No. Anything else?
Now, it's good that they got a little reprieve before the next snowstorm, so,
Hold your
Get
breath.
everything back in shape.
yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and go to planning and zoning. Have you gotten any word back or anything on, any of the issues that you were dealing with her?
I've only seen one person respond, although that doesn't mean they didn't respond directly to her, and I just don't know about it. I saw one person respond, and I think, we reached a resolution that will work for everybody. But beyond that, no, we're maybe filing a bunch of enforcement actions at the beginning of the year.
Thank you.
Business is down.
Okay.
What, 23 down from last year for just the dwellings? $24. The accessory buildings. Anything from you, sir?
No,
Anything else?
No, down $184,000 year to date over last year,
new starts. and,
building, so. It'll affects the budget for sure, so.
Okay, let's move on to airport.
So blading that with road and bridge. We should maybe look at a different equipment to snowplow that. We're putting heavy equipment on an airport runway that just got redone, and maybe we should leave our blade up a little bit so we don't pull out
They,
that crack seal.
they are, problem was the crack seal was put in wrong. But it has, they went and have inspected, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's gonna be all right.
I just wonder if we shouldn't,
I don't know what else we can put on it in order to plow, it's gotta be pretty, that's what they use. DIA, et cetera,
yeah,
not much different.
they got a lot more money though.
Fix their cracks.
A lot
They do a
more
lot more.
money. Unfathomable amount of money, more than what we.
They probably poured their cracks before they did the chip seal.
Yeah. So, reporting, everything you can see there, fuel's, taking care of itself. We're not selling it for less than we're buying it for. We're gonna continue to do that. The meter, San Cristo did, we finally straightened out they wouldn't bill us for a meter until we paid, for it. We couldn't pay for it without an invoice.
That's exactly right.
It was a goat rope and had to get them to say, all right, we cut a check, we send them a copy of the check, and they said, okay, well, you can do it. Anyway, it's in work now. They'll install a meter, the new pump will be working, and they're gonna work on that.
Okay.
Want to dispel a myth too, people make up things when they don't understand it. The tank was purchased with a grant that the state gave us, as you know, and we matched it with ARPA funds and that were money that was, or was lacked if we switched to.
Half of the grant was
Half.
matched with ARPA,
Mhm.
yeah.
So,
The other half of that.
so from a
match
county
came from-
citizen's point of view on all the things, including the fence, that was a big
Correct.
kerfuffle about what do we buy in the fence, we didn't buy it,
We didn't buy
a
the
private
fence.
citizen did. So they would protect his airplane, as well as everybody else with it, so that was almost $750,000 for the fence that we were given.
Yeah, we need a letter, stating that so that we can receipt that in, receipt that out.
Yeah, we wanna do that, and also, they need to do that, and we can also give them the, along with that, they can deduct that, it's a gift. Charity thing, not charity, but,
Yeah,
so we need to do that for that, and all things that they're doing, including the labor out there.
mhm.
So, I think that was all the new stuff, the tank, the meter, the fence. It is, we're not, it is self-sustaining from that point of view, the only citizens' money we're putting in on it is, we own the ground already, and we have the upkeep on the buildings that we do for everybody. On the, main building, not all people, that's the other thing, people own their own hangars, they own that via the
Right.
lease, they bought the material themselves.
But we do have to make an operational transfer every year at the beginning,
Right.
out of general fund, so.
So on the Yukon,
For the,
is this a fluid line that is broke? What type of brake line is broken on the Yukon?
I thought it was I'm not sure,
It's been in the report for 2 months. Where's it sitting? Is it out there, or did they bring it into Road
brought
and
it in the
Bridge?
road and bridge. Yukon's not out there, but I know.
Okay.
And those both have about over 200,000 miles on them, so.
Okay.
And we can decide to rotate a sheriff's old vehicle in there and put another one out.
Not yet.
Yeah. Anyway, everything looks good, as you see there.
Anything else on that?
No,
I'll take us to landfill.
got his comments back from the engineer on the design, 13th. Permit. Expansion.
Yukon is not at Road and Bridge, so
Out there,
guess we'll have to find it.
yeah, oh, I was out there last, they made had, and that's been 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
when they had it out. Well, we can get it
And
broadcasting.
we did get the final cover construction report for cell D, E, and F of the landfill.
Mhm. Yep, everything's going down. Comments on the plan is good from Jill Parisi. I'm good.
I'm good.
Alright. Going over to recycling.
Recycling is staying up there, so we thought we would see kind of a downturn in November. Not much of one. Prices have kind of stayed consistent throughout this year. But they think they're gonna have about 365 total bales by the end of the year projected. So almost a bale a day we produce that we can divert from our landfill and send elsewhere, so. And plastic is still a no-go, it's just too much time and not enough return on the investment put into it, so. And it's a mess, so we gotta keep it clean,
Yeah, how
gotta keep
many-
it covered, gotta keep it inside. So maybe in a, that could also change in a year or two, but
And you have so many different types, and then you can only take certain types, that would be so labor intensive for what the return is on that.
so we'll just keep working at it. And then sometime in January, I'll sit down with those guys in landfill. And we'll go through what we saved, if we saved half a trench or a quarter trench or full trench, whatever that is. And kinda let the people know how many semi-loads total, so
Yeah, mate.
kind of be a neat project for beginning of next year, once we have the totals through December, so.
Anything else on those? Emergency management.
So the new fire council CWPP writing plan for Custer County, its deadline is February 25th for approval from county. On track for the 24 budget.
Maybe okay, yeah, never mind.
We will see if, looks like the state of Colorado does not anticipate any cuts for the EMPG, but, with being a $1.3 billion short, we'll see what ends up
Gonna
happening,
happen,
so.
we'll see. It's the same.
hopefully we'll have the radios inventoried by the end of the year. Anything else?
Nope.
None here.
Extension.
We have 55 members in 4-H.
Currently, well, last year we had 87 members,
87.
yep, 110 total, including our volunteers.
Okay.
It's really slow, and then everyone, about these last 2 weeks, will enroll,
Okay.
and then enrollment for new members is through May, or March, sorry,
Okay.
so.
Thank you for helping Reggie get work through that program.
It's an interesting program sometimes.
Yeah, and then the 4-H coordinator vacancy we'll go out and advertise for that next year.
Yeah. But can you eat those gingerbread houses when they're done?
I mean, immediately after, after they've been sitting at the library for 2 weeks,
bet I could-
I would not.
There's
like it.
125 kits have been ordered.
Last year we gave out 150
Kid,
kits.
really.
So that's from the very first year we started it with only like 25 kits that went out, so it's grown
Pretty amazing.
pretty good.
I do not see a date on that.
The gingerbread house. I
It's,
think they are due back to the library the 9th
so it's
of
gonna be finished
January.
during the Christmas break, return the finished product during the Christmas break.
I just saw it on the library's Facebook page yesterday.
Okay.
And she spoke to the grant we're working through, the regional weed board to put in for that state grant. Reggie was very instrumental in helping me get that put together and sent, to Fremont County, and that it has all been submitted at this point.
Good.
All good?
Okay.
Okay. You good to go? All right. Let me know.
Okay.
Okay, we have some bids. We'll give those to you, sir. So the next item we have is the trash service bids. Thank you for going out for those. It's not an easy process with the differences in the
Right.
different sides of the county, so
Yeah, Wetmore was the greatest issue, so.
we're special down there. So if you could open those bids for us, sir.
The first
first bid is from P-Bar-O Disposal. 2-yard dumpster serviced weekly for $67.50 per month for road and bridge. A 3-yard dumpster serviced weekly for $93.60 per month for the courthouse. A 3-yard dumpster serviced weekly for $93.60 per month for the sheriff's office. And a 2-yard dumpster serviced every other week for $76.50 per month for the Wetmore shop. This is taped up like I tape Christmas presents.
I told you didn't have to wrap mine.
Don't worry.
You can come in a Walmart bag.
This is from Oak Disposal Services, 2025 trash removal bid. A 4-yard dumpster at courthouse dumped once a week for $110 a month with an extra pickups at $25 per dump. A 3-yard dumpster at the sheriff's department dumped once a week for $80 a month with extra pickups at $25 per dump. 2-yard dumpster at Road and Bridge dumped once a week, $55 a month with extra pickups at $25 per dump. Oak Disposal does not service the Wetmore area! Pay for 1 year at a time and save an additional 15%. And then he just restates the same prices. Paying monthly would be $29.40 a year. Paying for everything all at once is $24.99 per year. If you want to.
What was it?
P-Bar-O. It's P-Bar-O's courthouse bid. 93.
Courthouse is $93.60, that's a 3-yard.
So does a 3-yard work? Why is he bidding 4-yard, you know?
Might not have 3 yards. Would be my guess.
Yeah. Do we know if it comes
Assumption.
for extra, have we ever had a problem with it overflowing, they have to make an extra run?
Not that I
I
know.
haven't seen.
Maybe I don't think I've ever approved it.
Over here,
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have to increase that size 2 years ago. Because we
'Cause we were
were
having-
struggling, we had,
but I think the cardboard trailers really helped
Mhm.
because the boxes go in there.
Yeah, and we recycle all our paper now too, so a lot of that either gets to the shredding or I'm not sure what Matt does with it.
The shredding has to go in the dumpster because they can't
Yeah.
recycle that.
But just the paper, simple paper stuff.
Well, based on what I see here, since he doesn't go to Wetmore, and the 3-yard dump works, even though the Oak has a little bit, like $13 a month cheaper for a 2-yard. I think the hassle outweighs that. I would move that we award it to P-Bar-O.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion on the floor to award the, trash, service bid to, P-Bar-O for the 2025 year. Discussion. I would say one thing that I did not say before your motion, but I think that that Wetmore could be pulled out separately, and awarded that way if that were the case, if it was to go the other direction, so.
Got somebody else that would pick it up?
No, to where if the bid was awarded to Oak, that, the Wetmore portion could be awarded to P-Bar-O, because they do service Wetmore, whereas Oak is not, so, that has been, if we did that, that just makes it an easier comparison where we are comparing the other three locations.
There's about a $500 difference if you would have P-Bar-O do only Wetmore and take the $2,500 bid if you paid basically 1 year at a time. Will P-Bar-O only do that one?
I'm not sure.
But we asked them that last year and I thought they would, but. Anyway. That's what I know.
Anything else? Okay, public comment. Okay, not seeing anything online either. So I have a motion on the floor to approve the bid, for, for P-Bar-O. I wanted to make sure I did that right and because I had spoke both names here a minute ago. To approve the bid from P-Bar-O for the 2025 trash service. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. So that motion does carry. If we could let them know that as well, so we make sure we don't award that and not let them know. All aboard West Cliff lease contract. I think, did you get a copy of this, sir?
I don't, well, let me see, was it in the packet?
Yes.
It is in the packet.
Oh, there it is, sorry.
Did you want to speak to that?
So this is, did we get a filled out one with all the pricing?
Not with all the pricing, the one that Kevin has all the dates on it.
Okay.
Because what I was sent was a PDF, so I had to print it out
Okay,
and fill everything out by hand. So, and I did not know what the pricing was going to be, so that portion did not get filled out.
okay.
But all the dates are on there.
Let's push this off till the 26th.
Okay.
And I'll fill this out and get a total cost for the year from them, based upon the dates that we have.
Yeah, because there was still some, are we doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's do that, let's just move this.
I'd like to just, as a quick review of this, I'd like to see if we can add language that doesn't waive our governmental immunity.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah,
Okay.
otherwise it's around $100 a meeting. It'll come out roughly 8 to 12, something like that.
And the advantage is we get more people, has a PA system.
It doesn't have a PA system.
Oh,
So
Right, it does.
we
It
are,
has
we're,
been- that was
we're,
brought in.
yeah, we're looking for something that could be used for that, so,
yeah, we need it.
so. But they do have a TV screen, they do have some technology, so,
More people.
and we can set up for more people, so. And we get out of here, so we're not
And
interrupting
that's a big deal.
HR and finance for almost, really kind of the whole day, by the time we're kinda get done, so.
All right, and if you can put that on that 26th agenda then, thank you. We have next on our agenda then the West Custer County Hospital District Intergovernmental Agreement. And have you seen this prior to?
I think I drafted this, so.
You did it.
Yes, I have a little.
Just making sure. So if you drafted it, I'm pretty sure you don't have any issues with it.
No, there's just some blanks that we need that will need to be filled in when we sign it, assuming that you approve.
And this is, for everyone's information, this is an agreement, between Custer County and, the hospital district for the use of our human resources director. Bob has been helping them out and doing some work for them, to the point to where we need to get an IGA in place. And, that is why this is before us here today.
Are they paying for it too?
After 10 hours, yes,
I don't see it in there.
it's, number 1 and 2.
Let's see what this says. 10 hours a month,
And then number 2.
no charge to the district, why?
The first 10 hours are no charge.
Or agree the service is described here and provide at no charge, provided the district doesn't exceed 10 hours, okay, there it is. So you're willing to work for them for 10 hours and
Question is, are
we're
you?
not gonna pay it? How do we get that agreement? Is that what
I
they,
just, that came from Dan, and I think it's a reasonable number of hours.
to donate?
I adjust my work here to work theirs in, as on an admin basis. I've gone over there for board meetings and
So did you,
stuff for them.
I know you have, are the hours less than 10 that you've been doing, or has it been surged because it's brand new to them?
It's right 10 or a little bit less. There's been maybe 1 or 2 weeks where it was above 10. So it's just kind of bounces around.
For each week?
Yeah. There's 1 week, there was a lot of hours. Then there was a follow-up board meeting later that month. I was there for like 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours. Beyond that, there's maybe a week or 2 that I'm spending 8 to 9 hours.
Were they abnormal things that popped up, like people quitting or
You know, they've had
stuff
some personnel
issues
issues and matters I've worked through with
that
the
may not
board.
happen now?
Yeah,
But, so if it's 10 hours a week, that's well in excess of what this says.
That's
yeah,
right.
I don't, the issues that were driving those numbers, I think has resolved itself. So right now, they're just dealing with some normal things.
So you're
drafting
looking at,
some, job descriptions and helping them decide what structure they want and giving them advice for that. And when they had their paramedic that passed away, I was spending some time with them on some workers' compensation claims, and so those are like one-off
so
situations.
nominally, according to this, it's 2.5 hours a week that you might
Yeah.
use,
Right, or nothing 1 week and more another week.
5 the next.
Yeah. So there's been some one-offs where I've spent more time than that, but I don't anticipate those situations being normal.
So Dan, how does he account for if he's working on that? And on one, it goes over, for the month, it could be 10 plus. does it automatically occur, or does he have to stop work?
Well, no, if it goes over 10 a month, then the county has the right to bill the district for
Whatever, so they're gonna will allow him to continue working until
Yeah,
he
they-
cries, uncle, I can't do it. And-
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had this discussion with the board in detail, other than I have said that in the very beginning, that at some point, the county would be looking for an IGA. And so, once you approve this, and based on your discussion, to go back and give it to Melody and have it put on the agenda and have us go through with them.
You know, I can see there may be a need for you to focus, and that could go up to 100 hours, I mean, something crazy, who knows?
And then if it exceeds the 10 hours a month, I think that, yes, then they need to start picking up the,
But not at the expense of us, I can see them picking it up, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be diverted, because you have, whatever we have would take precedence in my
Yes.
mind. And they'll have to wait to resolve their next,
Yes.
And I think our
As
thoughts
long as it's
with
written.
this is your counsel and advice in HR related issues. From what I hear, that board also wants to use you to restructure what they do, and that is in the hands of the people who vote for those members of that board.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten a tiny bit out of scope there. You know, we assist our special tax districts because we know that they can't as well afford a full-time HR person, so we're willing to share our HR resources. I just don't want you to become a management tool for them to manage their departments. That is completely out of the scope of what I believe this document should say, and our intention
Right.
of helping them.
And I've steered away from becoming that level of work for them. This last meeting they wanted a job description for a position that they put in as a administrator. It started out for the EMS. So that's what I crafted. Then during the meeting, then it switched, changed focus to an administrator for all the scope. No discussion among them whether that's what they want or not. And so they wanted me to draft it for that purpose as opposed to the EMS. Then they had a discussion about what's our structure, so I kind of helped guide them. This is using the whiteboard. This is what a org chart might look for that, and an org chart for that, and I'd rather not get into that level of stuff, but it was necessary for them to decide what kind of job description they wanted. And so, and my intent, and has been so far, is to just provide guidance, input on personnel matters and that kind of stuff. So I have no intention in their board.
And on that same vein, one of the things that's in here, that I put in here, that I wanted to be careful of is that the county attorney doesn't accidentally become the special district's attorney as well. Because, you know, sometimes Bob will come to me with we'll have a 5 or 10 minute conversation about something that's going on that he has a quick question about, and that's fine, but, you know, I'm certainly not gonna, well, whoever the county attorney is should not be dealing with legal questions from that district board. They need their own counsel if they have legal questions.
And it wasn't until this last meeting that, you know, around that time, that a separate issue. I didn't know they had a separate attorney.
They do have an attorney?
They do.
Well,
Good.
ask him from now on.
But before that, I didn't know he existed to call to ask.
Yeah, and I would suggest that since they do have
Yeah.
someone, call that person with those
Yeah,
questions.
because there was an issue that I'm gonna talk about here that
Well, it'll be specific to
where
them.
that attorney had a different opinion about it than I'd asked Dan about, and I said, that's fine, attorneys have differences of opinion and stuff, and you need to follow your attorney's opinion. And I said, that's what you need to do, don't
Yes.
take mine, I'll give you my professional advice, but if your attorney wants to glean it a different way, then follow your attorney's advice, not mine.
Yeah, I would agree that the scope needs to stay as HR assistants. And not,
Yeah, you can have scope creep
yeah,
real quick.
well, yeah, and he's not, we don't want to see this turn into him becoming their full-time HR.
So does there need to be a sentence in here then, Dan, that says he has the right to refuse to do so?
Maybe a section under scope.
So you don't have to keep letting that, you're the one that has to decide where a scope creep until you come and tell us what it is.
Right.
You can dig in and say, no,
There's some stuff they're waiting on from me now that I haven't felt
this is
that
sort of
I've had the
open-ended.
time or been able to push some other things away to deal with it. And so they've been patient for me to get it back to them. And there's some, they had one thing they wanted by one of their business, their meeting, and I said, I can't get to it. You're gonna have to wait, so.
Well, to the extent that they're asking him to do something that is not a human resource issue, then by definition, it's not under this agreement.
Right.
And he can refuse to do that, period. It's not made under the agreement.
Thank you.
I told him my first priority, when I started, my first priority is the county. The stuff I do for the county takes precedent. And then as I can't make time or have time, whatever the time is, if I can push something aside and reprioritize and do your stuff, then get it in, then I will. But if it comes to one or the other, county comes first. So, and they've understood that.
And maybe we do 5 hours a month instead of 10. I don't know, that's half a day every month, instead of a full day.
But it reads up to 10 then.
Yeah, no more than 10.
I don't know, maybe you shoot it and then you can modify it later if it gets abusive. Otherwise, he's capped, well, he's not capped, they just start paying.
Or do
They start paying
after
me
those
for 5 hours then.
5 hours in a month,
What do you think, I mean,
is that reasonable?
if you just spent it on HR things?
Yeah, unless they have, obviously something.
Do they still need,
One-offs.
do they still need you to come to the meetings?
They don't have to, no.
Okay.
I don't have to be for some of the stuff I've done.
What are we charging them?
They have asked if my hourly rate,
Whatever his wages are?
Yeah, whatever his pay is.
Salary and benefits.
I think 10 hours is sufficient enough to cover it without any issues. 5 may be a little bit under, but again, it's gonna depend on month to month and what things come up. Some stuff they've called and I've just given them an answer over the phone.
Well, what we
I'm not gonna
can
charge
do
for
is
that.
not approve it, let them understand what we've got, this is our proposal. And we're vacillating on 10 or not, and you figure out what's their budget, what can they afford? Let them come back at us. We don't have to.
I'd say we should go back with them with 5 hours. That's
I'm good with that.
5 hours and then we start sending a bill. Or time's going to accrue.
Have they seen this rough draft yet?
Not yet. I
Not
want to wait
until
for
we
you
approve
to
it.
do your thing and then send it to them as a proposal from you.
And then we need to probably have what our dollar amount is gonna be, so.
Okay, So I'm just looking at the process. If they don't agree with it, then we gotta do what? Listen to what they propose is different and come back and redo it? Is that what you wanna do?
Yeah.
Or you can have
absolutely.
them, here's the draft, go, you can agree with it, cause we're good with this. At 5, we can make it 5.
Right.
So what we
As
send to them is what we agree on. If they approve it on their end, we're good to go. If not, we
Then
can
we'll
look
sign
at
it.
theirs, or we can not have an agreement and we pull our HR man
Yeah.
back.
So we can
I'll add
agree,
a section about the wage.
Cause he does have a lot, we do have a lot of HR stuff to work on this next year. And
yeah, it'll be busy.
And I'm willing to share, it's not that I'm not willing to share
Same.
and help out our special tax district, cause that helps out all the citizens. So, just my thought.
I'm good either way, either, we can agree that, well, that this is a draft that we accept, that we can, that's what we vote on, or we can say, this is it, this is what we're gonna do. That's, which means they would look at it differently, they possibly, you wouldn't get a bargaining. They could either agree or not, and say, give up, I don't know, I'm just looking at how do we work with them and
This is your
be
proposal.
collaborative with them.
This is your proposal. And see what you say.
What's a contract that we
Right.
accept? So, if you wanna change it to 5, go ahead and make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, propose this to the West Custer County Hospital District with 5 hours per month. And we also add in the price to cover wages, benefits, payroll tax,
Right.
and we put that in the agreement.
Well, I'll second that as our proposal.
Okay, so I do have a motion on the floor to approve this, IGA agreement to send to the hospital district with the changes, of changing the hours before incurring cost from 10 hours to 5 hours. And then that we also include the dollar amount of those costs, further now for discussion. Those numbers will change, and we need to make sure we have January rates, because those numbers will change in January.
Yes.
And so if we're gonna use a specific dollar amount in there as well, do we make sure we have the provision that if our HR director's rates increase, that those rates will also increase, so those numbers won't be accurate.
It's just year by year.
Okay,
That's a new IGA every year.
okay.
And so do we know what the rate is next, in 25? Yet? Bob? Which-
I know my wages now, and then, so I can get all that stuff from Vern.
So that's what we're gonna present to them, it's a 25.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we could get those numbers and get them to Dan, then.
I mean, I've got it electronic, I can make the adjustments, if it's okay with Dan.
I just made the adjustments right now,
Perfect.
except for the blank where we fill in the number per hour.
Hey,
Okay,
I'm good.
all right, anything else from you, sir?
No,
Public comment?
Just have a
I think Paul's hand was first, then we'll work our way to the left here, to my left. Paul?
Just a few things. One, can we use the term coaching instead of actually management? May be good in that terminology, have no idea on that one. But set perimeters that he's allowed to do. But how are we gonna schedule is being inundated by phone calls in his office here while he's on county time? Do we block it out like the lawyer would do on the phone? Just open for discussion.
Well, I think that's gonna be up to the hospital district. I mean, well, I'll tell you that the way I work that with governmental entities that I represent is I tell them, if one of your board members is calling me, you're on the clock. whether you like it or not. If you want to limit that, then you need to designate one person who's allowed to call me, and that's it.
I think that needs to be in that agreement, kind of in words, just so they understand, that's all.
Yeah, but if they're told that up front, it doesn't necessarily have to be, I mean, it's understood that if they're using him, they're on the clock.
Yeah,
That's correct.
and it is just the board members.
I've had current board members call me. I've had past board members call me. And I've had Melody Builder, who was kind of their name, call me. And those are where the calls and requests are coming from.
And I think that's fair, personally, because if you try to funnel through a board member, they're not gonna get anywhere.
Well,
But they need to understand they're paying for it.
I believe
Whoever calls,
that,
Every call.
I believe, yeah, you will be charging, or time for every call. I would say you need to let them know that there's a past board member contacting you, and if they don't want him calling you, then, and paying for that, that,
Right.
I did,
they give you that direction, so then
Or it could
when
be
you get
anybody.
called by that individual, then you say, I can't talk to you because you're not authorized
Or they can make.
by the district to talk to
But
me.
it's their choice, so I like that.
The time to
Then
have
if they
it,
wanna
right.
have somebody, Joe Blow call, that's fine, as long as they're paying for it.
But then that's kind of falls into what Dan does here. I mean, we have certain people that are allowed to talk to him, and that is set basically by us. If we want to allow someone else, we give that authorization. But it's set up originally with the elected officials and the department heads.
Yeah.
But if we wanted to let, say, Caitlin be a contact, we can designate her as that, and then we pay for that.
Yeah. Bob can tell them what our route, they're gonna pay for it if they, some Joe Blow calls.
So that would be all information to give them up front, and that they are on the clock every time, on the phone calls and everything, so. Yes, ma'am.
Does the district have any other HR management resource available to them?
Melody, well, let me try and frame that. They don't have anybody that's all they do, and they have a lot of depth or experience in that field. Melody Builder does well, but that's not her area, and she does the best she can, but they don't have anybody that does that, no.
And who have they used in the past?
Next to nobody. They try and do it as a board as best they can, depending on what it is. I think sometimes they've engaged their attorney on some things, and Melody has done some stuff, and we talked about the things she did, and by and large, I don't see any issues with it, but she doesn't answer to me, so.
I think she's asking if there's any other agencies that have an HR in the
No.
county, and they're not.
Well, in the county or even, is there any entity within HRRMC that can validly assist them?
If they became members of Mountain States Employers Council
Mhm.
and paid their fee for their size, then they have people on staff that are HR related. They can do that.
And they're aware of that option?
I've told them that Mountain States Employers exists, but I haven't directed them that that's what they should do.
Yeah, I don't think it is your.
Yeah, let's,
Should.
let's kind of go, instead of a complete back and forth here, when actually you should be addressing the board.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna let Lucas speak to some of that, because you started this in a sense, and you can kind of speak to why we're sharing and what your thoughts were there, and then I think we'll move on.
So I think, for the library district, even our two towns, we all go to the same, roughly the same tax base. So for all of us to single-handedly all have an HR manager or go out to these big companies. We just, in order to try to keep our taxes low, property taxes low, what I've thought about doing, and this isn't necessarily my idea, I just took it and kind of ran with it, and then had a call from a board member of the district, and have talked to, of the hospital district, and have talked to the library district as well, and just go, what are your needs that we can, that we're not duplicating on, but that we can share our resources together so that we can offer some services that we have to have. We're paying full staff, but we can help out a little bit, so you guys don't have to incur costs that really they can't afford. Their budgets are way smaller than ours, so we're still in the trial stage, trying to figure out how do we make this work? How do we move forward with this without building our departments up too big, but offering some help anyway, so.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Well, the word district has been used several times. I assume that means there's more than one county district.
Just special tax districts within Custer County.
Special tax district, so they're getting, all right, special tax.
There's 11 of them in the county.
District, so they have their own mill levy.
Yes.
That goes into
Yeah.
the total mill
Right,
levy.
that you pay and I pay.
So the proposal then is to simply shift county, shift county resource to a district, hospital district without getting any compensation for it.
Only for the first 5 hours of every month.
Well, right, but according to Bob and what he was talking about, that's gonna be blown every, all the time, so why are we?
So we don't, so all the special tax districts, that money might come into the treasurer, but it goes directly to them. We don't manage that money.
No, I
here.
understand that, but you're asking the county taxpayers to pay for Bob
Mhm.
and give away Bob to the district unless he works more than 5 hours in a month. And then, I mean, what I'm trying to get at is why doesn't, I guess it's because you don't wanna have the district, blah, blah, blah. What is full-time here, 36 hours a week?
40 is what we consider full-time, but it's 32 to get benefits, right?
So technically it's 32.
Mhm.
My
So-
Yeah, I guess all I'm saying is that Bob is a taxpayer asset,
Mhm.
and all his time should be paid for by the entity using his time.
Or paying for his time, right?
Well, using his time. So if his time is reduced to 38 and a half hours a week for the county, then the county should be paying him for 38 and a half hours.
And they should be paying for the rest.
And they should be paying for whatever they're
That's
gonna
right.
use him for. The problem I see with this whole idea and arrangement is Bob is gonna spend more time trying to figure out how much time he spent with them than he is actual time spent with them. And that becomes logistically for Bob a tough arrangement. So it's almost better, in a sense, to make one of his responsibilities HR for these tax districts. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Rather than some kind of strange accounting thing. It would just be, he would be able to work on county business and district business during his 40 hours a week, to take care of all of this. And you may have to end up ultimately with consideration of a half-time HR administrative person just to support him in the logistics. But the other way around, you're gonna just be, I think, driving your HR director crazy. No offense to Bob's ability to manage time and get a little punch clock like they have for chess games.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Nothing online. So we do have a motion on the floor to approve the IGA with the changes as stated here, dropping the hours from 10 to 5 before compensation and putting the dollar amounts in there. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries.
I'll make a comment on that, just for a comment, because Jim brought up a good point. To the taxpayer overall in Custer County, they have to pay all 11 districts. And if the districts all require any source of, like an HR person, and they can't afford a full-time one, then the option is to increase the mill levy in each of those districts separately, or give us more here if that amount of time is required. So in the end, and this is a good experiment, because in the end, we can see how much time is really gonna be needed. Then we either make a choice then to hire a half-time guy and up the mill levy on our side, theoretically. Taxpayers would have to take that burden for the whole county. Or, push it over onto their side if that district has really got a lot of problems and we need a full-time guy to help him do it, then let's let them pay for it, put it in their mill levy. I mean, that's stuff that you do after, but that's a good point you brought up. Okay.
All right, it's 11:22. I'm going to call a short recess. And we will take this back up here in a minute.
overcast.
Well, yesterday morning it was 9 degrees and this morning it was 20.
Okay, the time is now 11:34 a.m. and I will call this meeting back to order.
Paul.
Have a seat, sir. Thanks. I have a gavel, but yeah, it just hurts every time I hit my hand with it. All right, next item on our agenda will be the SCRETAC representative appointments. You have that in your packet.
So Justine Beach from the West Custer County Hospital District, the EMS manager, reached out. We need, I think we did this last year, Kelly, towards the end of the year. We were scrambling through everything. The primary members and the alternate members, we need to send a letter, in, so, all I need is approval to do that, and we will send a letter to them.
And I probably have a copy of that letter, Caitlin, that I can forward to you.
And then, the primary members would be Justine Beach, Jeremiah Coleman, Nona Gladbach, and then the alternate would be Ruth Roper, Chloe Carlin, and Patrick Fior.
Okay, and I would entertain a motion.
I move that we, how do we wanna read this? This is representative.
Approve the
Approve
SCRETAC.
these CRETAC representatives as presented. Primary members, Justine Beach, Jeremiah Coleman, Nona Gladbach. Alternate Ruth Roper, Chloe Carlin, and Patrick Fiore.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion on the floor to approve the SCRETAC representative appointments as presented here today. Discussion,
None for me.
Nope.
public comment? Yes, sir.
Can you please give a one-time readout of the acronym?
No?
That's a very long one.
I think that's Southern Colorado Regional
Regional.
Emergency Trauma
Trauma and,
Advisory Council.
that's pretty good. That's
Don't quote me
close.
on that, but I think that's fairly close.
It was nowhere in that email, or I would have put it on.
Yeah. I think I have to Google that one when I,
Look, it is Southern Colorado, let's see.
Regional.
I'll send you a list of acronyms.
Yeah,
Because
we've
that's
talked
another
about that.
project that.
Mhm.
this is what-
I have a list, yeah.
I apologize, I probably should have looked it up when I first saw it on the agenda, but that was early this morning.
It's a long one.
You can Google it.
Yeah, it is.
What's SCRETAC? I'd be afraid to ask Google, no telling what they come back with.
Might come up with something you don't wanna.
I don't wanna say.
Based upon the educated guess, then it has to do with medical emergencies.
Yeah, yeah.
And the folks on the board have been, or on the council, excuse me, have all been representatives in the past. They're just being renewed.
Yes, I think the only new one, I don't think any
that
of them were
Ruth
new
was
ones.
an alternate last year, was she?
No, she
Real,
wasn't.
real good on.
Unfortunately, just the reason I'm rambling on this is I don't know any of these people and don't know their backgrounds with respect to medical emergencies. So
Justine Beach is on the EMS.
She's EMS manager,
Got the
Jeremiah,
fire chief.
for fire chief, you're okay.
fire chief,
Perfect, thanks.
Violinist here.
yeah.
That's Chloe. I don't know.
Chloe is, was an EMS.
Ruth Roper is a current member of the EMS, and Patrick Fiore. has
Patrick
been
is,
as well. Okay, so I do, anything else, any other public comment? That being the case, those in favor of approving the SCRETAC representative appointments as presented here today, signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye. That motion does carry. Next item would be resolution 24-27, the sheriff's office vehicles and associated equipment.
Okay.
I feel like I've sat here before. It's deja vu.
Welcome back to the table, sir.
Thank you.
Would you like to go ahead and,
Let's move it and we'll do it properly, I
Okay.
guess. I move we adopt resolution 24-27, a resolution for supplemental budget and appropriation. And I'll read it. Appropriating additional sums of money to defray expenses in excess of amounts budgeted for Custer County, Colorado, whereas Custer County Sheriff's Office has been charged with the safety of the citizens of the county. The appropriation of $14,930.40 will be transferred from the general fund balance into specific accounts within the capital improvement. Now therefore it be resolved, the Board of Commissioners, Section 1, that the 2024 appropriation for account, and that account number happens to be the 50 fund, which is 50/42/110.59130, capital improvement for Custer County Sheriff, be increased by the $14,930.40 via transfer from the general fund. Section 2, that the above appropriation be transferred from the 10 fund, which is 10/42/120.36/800.507. That's the inmate fund, and be used for capital purchases for the vehicles and associated equipment. And that was pulled together by Vernon. Good job there, Vernon.
Thank you, sir. So this money,
I moved it.
oh, I apologize.
Well, second.
I have a motion on the floor, discussion here at the table. Go, sir.
So this money existed in an old fund account that has been, that was, excuse me, held by the sheriff's office. It was closed out and the money was put into into an account line for what we call the inmate fund, which is where it came from. So it is unbudgeted revenue that the sheriff's office was holding on to for several years, and all the distributions that needed to come out of that fund have been made, and they are wanting to close it out and use it for purchases. And this goes into cover capital purchases, the upfitting of the 2 vehicles, which puts them over budget by about $3,000, and then the intent to purchase that Jeep that you approved last week. It won't cover all of it, but it will cover some of it.
Thank you. Any further discussion here at the table?
Not for me.
None from me.
Public comment? Seeing and hearing none, those in favor of adopting resolution number 24-27 as presented here today, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. Next item would be 24-28, Sheriff's Office School Security Equipment and SRO Training.
Anybody else can have the honor of reading it?
Resolution number 24-28, resolution for supplemental budget and appropriation. A resolution appropriating additional sums of money to defray expenses in excess of amounts budgeted for Custer County, Colorado. Whereas the Custer County Sheriff's Office has been charged with the safety of the citizens of Custer County, the appropriation of $51,185 will be transferred from general fund balance into specific accounts within the Sheriff Office budget and capital improvement. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Custer County, Colorado, that the 2024 appropriation for account 10-52041 Sheriff Office Admin Safety Equipment be increased by $40,000 via transfer from general fund balance for the purpose of funding school security safety equipment. Section 2, that the 24 appropriation for account 59,130, the capital improvement county sheriff line be increased by 10,000 via transfer from general fund balance for the purpose of capital purchases. Section 3, that the 24 appropriation for account 10504, the sheriff office SRO education and training, be increased by 1185 for the purpose of funding the SRO training.
I move that we adopt that, resolution number 24-28.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to adopt resolution number 24-28 as read here this morning. Did you have anything you would like to comment on that, sir?
So the $51,185 was actually reimbursed expenses that were expended in 21 and 22 for SRO duties. They had been sitting on the table, and our undersheriff found them in the list of unreimbursed monetary grants from the state funding SRO, and so she was able to apply and get that money back in. There are no restrictions on it. It's basically old money. It's money that we've already expended and we're being reimbursed for it. So this resolution would essentially make the old money new money and put it into those accounts for use this year.
This
And
year
SRO
being
is School Resource
25.
Officer.
24.
No, I know that.
24, they want to spend it this year.
It's this year 24.
Yes.
Yes,
They got a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yes.
and I'm gonna say that part of that is to cover the rest of that due.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Part of that is yes.
Okay. Any further discussion here?
Nope.
Public comment? Yes, sir.
Well, two things. One, I looked it up and, SR, whatever it is, TAC is Southern Colorado RETAC. So Google failed. $41,000 in, school safety, equipment is what was separated out among those dollars.
Yes.
40,000, yes.
And it sounds like that was already purchased and this is sort of reimbursement money going back.
The initial $51,000 that we are making the appropriations of is money that was previously spent through the SROs for the school resource officer.
Not on that equipment.
Those monies, had not been put in for reimbursement yet. The monies was spent.
Okay.
Were not put in for reimbursement.
Right, got
Now they
that.
have been, and so it does not have to go towards the school resource officer because those monies were already spent on that purpose.
Right, but the resolution already says that it is going for that.
We are appropriating $40,000, for, school security safety equipment. Whether those funds have been spent, or not at this time, could be spoken to by the sheriff's office, but it would be in their budget. We need to put a revenue line and, a debit line in the budget for that to show those monies.
Okay,
That's
but
why this is.
where did the money for the Jeep come from? Is
Uh,
that in that resolution? I didn't hear it.
Part of it is in the
Not,
resolution,
you haven't got that part yet.
because it's going into the 50 fund.
The capital
Part of
improvement.
the resolution you're reading now.
This
Right.
resolution and
Section
part
2.
of the last resolution. So we're,
Okay, all right, so you're stripping out some money from the reimbursed school resource thing to, the Jeep
yes,
without concern, because it's not earmarked for anything, because it's already been spent, so, okay, got it. Boy, that's kind of almost as convoluted as the HR stuff.
Not quite.
Almost.
Welcome to my world.
We like to make it easy to follow. Any other public comment? Jim?
Jim Chaplin, excuse me. I think it's a sad reflection on our world that we even need to discuss having to use some of this stuff for this kind of thing, but I think it's something we definitely need to go forward with now.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay, I have a motion on the floor to adopt resolution number 24-28 as read here this morning. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Two there. Next item, 24-29.
All right, therefore, I move that we adopt resolution number 2429, resolution for supplemental budget appropriation. It's a resolution appropriating additional sums of money to defray expenses in excess of amounts budgeted for Custer County, Colorado. Whereas Custer County Landfill Department has been charged with solid waste management of Custer County. The appropriation of $19,765.00 will be transferred to the landfill expansion. That's item
From-
number 19, from not landfill expansion 19 balance into specific accounts within capital improvement. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Custer County, Colorado, Section 1, that the 2024 appropriation for account 19 40650.59400, that's the landfill expansion transfer out, be increased by $19,765.00 via transfer from the landfill expansion fund balance. Section 2, that the above appropriation be transferred from Fund 19.40650.59400, which is the landfill expansion transfer out, to 50.40650.59130, which is the capital outlay for the landfill, and be used for capital improvements in the form of trash management fencing.
Okay.
That I will move.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to adopt resolution number 24-29 as read here today. Discussion.
Just so the public knows, that fence is keeping the trash from blowing into the rest of the county on the east
northeast
side,
side,
north side of it. So it doesn't blow across the road nor up into whoever's
Coming out
Seifert's
of the area
borders, I
landfill.
think.
So in conversations with Brian Lockhart, they would like to start moving on it this year. This is for this year's appropriations. And the contractor requires a down payment to start the work.
Right, he got the bids on it.
Gotcha, and he got the approval last week, so that basically moves the money to take care of it.
Right.
The only thing I would say is I believe there was a typo under the appropriation of we have into, so we have into twice on that. Do we want to fix that before signing this document or?
No, we just.
Where's that? Oh, I
No,
see, yes, I see it.
Changes, yeah.
I can bring you a corrected copy here once we're done. If you
Yeah,
like.
that doesn't change the substance of the
Okay.
You can vote on it.
No, it didn't change anything. I didn't know if we wanted to.
You can,
We can
that's
approve
a
it.
change that can be made after you adopt it, it doesn't change any way the
Okay.
substance of the resolution.
So, any further discussion?
Not from me.
Public comment? Seeing and hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. That will take us to the mill levy presentation.
All right, it's that time of year again. So we voted to adopt our county mill levies last week, but this presentation covers all of the rest of the mill levy appropriations for the county, all of the special districts, ranging from C1 and RE2 school districts, county general, road and bridge, public welfare, self-insurance, emergency services, the town of Silver Cliffs, the town of West Cliff, Rye Fire Protection District, Wet Mountain Fire Protection District, Round Mountain Water and Sanitation, Upper Arkansas Water Conservatory, West Custer Hospital District, and West Custer Library District. And I didn't know what level of detail you wanted me to go down into, or where you'd like me to start, but we can start on the summary page if you like.
Yeah, just start with ours
Okay.
first.
All right.
Okay. You have a copy of that?
Yeah, where is
We
that?
do. I don't think the other rest of us.
I'm sorry if that didn't get attached. Do you want to make a copy and for these two, and I can read off yours while she's doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll skip to page 4, going over the county purposes. General fund, our general mill levy is usually 10.245, which we need to float that down by a number of 1.93 mils to be in compliance with Tabor restrictions. For a total of mill levy, or excuse me, appropriations of $1,325,424. Road and bridge is 5 mils for a total of $797,008. Public welfare, which is DHS, will be floated down by 0.404 mils, resulting in a mill levy of 1.096 with a dollar amount of $174,704. Self-insurance fund will be floated down from 1.5 down to 1.096, also for $174,704. And emergency services will be floated down from 2 down to 1.532 for a total of $244,203 for a grand total of mill levy appropriations for Custer County for $2,716,044.
$1,716.
$716,044.
What was the county now?
County mill is floated down to 8.315, down from 10.245 as normal.
And that also includes what we floated down last year, and we're keeping it down.
Each year is a new float, so it goes down much lower than
Just
last
wanna
year.
make sure we got credit for that, or we're stuck with that.
No, this is a temporary. I've signed a
right.
document showing a temporary,
That's
it
right,
says on the left-hand side, temporary tax
that's
credit.
correct.
Yes, sir.
Just make sure everybody understands.
Mhm.
Also, I wanna point out, so because there was rumors flying around, I don't know where it came from, that we were gonna increase by $8 million or $800,000, whatever the rumor was. And that's not the case.
No, sir, not at all. We actually had to go lower than we did last year.
Right.
Yep.
And our budget should result in approximately what we did last year. Correct? I mean, that's what, when we did our budget, we didn't reduce it by a whole bunch on the one budget that we just approved.
Yeah, so we're not far above where
That's
we were
right.
last year.
That's correct.
We stayed pretty well the same budget.
And I have actually created a spreadsheet showing the next 15
Right.
years, unless property values drastically
Change.
increase, or excuse me, decrease. We are set in our increase for the next 15 years. But if property values drop drastically, then we recalculate.
Right, and that
So-
is betting that it's a 5% increase per year, I think.
5.2?
5.2.
Yeah, it was 5.5, which is part of this was hilarious. This document is the same document that they had last year, and it has not been changed at all so recalculating this was quite the adventure, because the state is apparently a year behind their own legislation.
Yeah.
So we have to be compliant, but they are a year behind their own legislation. So moving on to Silver Cliff, or the cities and towns. Silver Cliff is appropriating 3.186 mils for a total of 32,499. The town of West Cliff,
Say it again, the mill levy,
mill levy is 3.186
okay?
for a total of $32,499. And the town of West Cliff is normally 5.515, but they're floating theirs down by 0.62 for a total of 4.895 mils and a total appropriation of 71,126.
Okay,
We'll move on to,
fire,
we'll move on to the service districts. Starting with Rye Fire, they have a mill levy appropriation of 15.536 with no float for a total of $51,027. Excuse me, 61,000. That is very fine print there.
61,000 what?
61,027. Wet Mountain Fire Protection District has a mill levy of 5.842 for a total of 871,434. Again, no float. Round Mountain Water and Sanitation District, they have a mill levy of 2.499 for a total of 60,597. Upper Arkansas Water Conservatory District has a mill levy of 0.473. Once again, 0.473, floating it down by 0.88 for a total of $62,167. West Custer Hospital District has a mill levy of 7.908, no float, for a total of $1,179,613.
1 million again.
$1,179,613. And finally, West Custer Hospital District, or excuse me, West Custer Library District, pardon me, has no float and a mill levy of 1.983 mils for a total of $295,798. And we'll reverse course back to page number, page got cut off, page 3, for the two school districts. Consolidated C1 School District has a mill levy of 26.754 mils with a bond redemption of 3.08 mils and an abatement of 0.004 mils for a total of 29.838 mils and a total of $4,617,795. And then the Fremont RE2 School District, they are collecting a mill of 31,109, or pardon me, wrong, 31.119 mils off of certain portions of our assessed valuation for a total of $144,372.
So the school overall will get $4,762,000.
Yeah, 168.
168.
Yep. So if you go back to page 2, there will be a breakout showing the local government, the cities and townships, and the, I love this spreadsheet. The local and improvement and service districts.
What is that?
What's that?
I remember that.
Oh, that's the special districts. Yeah, water conservatory, upper arc, fire districts, that type of thing. It's all under Title 32.
Got it.
So basically that just outlines how much we're going to be pulling out. Revenue, all told, will be $10,112,473 for everything. Remember, like that doesn't all go to us. Only page 4 goes to us of 2.716 So 2.7 million only goes to us. Everything else goes to the other special districts.
Okay,
Any
so
questions?
JD has to have this, what numbers he dealing with?
What's that?
JD's dealing with this as it's written.
Well, so he has already submitted
He
the
submitted it,
the documents that make this up, he's already submitted
Yeah.
these. This has to be approved by the commissioners and then submitted by finance.
Right. So I move that we guess. Certify the levies and revenue as presented. That's the title. Yes, levies and revenue.
For 2025.
And it didn't say that, but that's true.
It is for budget year 2025, it is
Yes.
the taxes on 2024.
Right.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to approve the certification of levies and revenue for the budget year of 2025 as presented here today. Discussion. Hearing none. Public comment.
Quick question.
Go ahead, sir.
The tax revenue based upon the mill levy then comes from what's the total assessed valuation of the county that's being taxed?
Oh,
Or is it really, really complicated to get at?
it's about 159 million.
Okay.
For Custer, but every special tax district like West Custer County Hospital
Or the
District
fire
has
department.
less valuation because it's less property. Because it doesn't include all of
Yeah,
Custer.
I wasn't really concerned about that.
Alright,
Anything else? That being the case, those in favor, signify, instead of certify, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
alright,
Aye. And that motion carries. You have a signature page there?
There you are. Bottom of that page, sir.
Collect them all, I'm gonna borrow your pen, because all I have is a green ink.
This one just needs the chair.
I need to sign these.
Oh,
He's got
I
those
apologize. Yep, gotcha.
And can you get me a copy of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can have this
Not signed, though.
one.
Unless you wanna sign that one.
That would make things easier.
It was.
And cheaper, because
Yes,
you won't have to make a copy, right?
we've already made the I killed a lot of trees getting this all ready.
You sure did.
What page was that I signed on yours?
Second page.
I was going from the back forward, so I couldn't find it.
Uh-oh.
Now, Bill has your pen.
Yeah, it's the official pen. Here, I'll catch up with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I will scan these in and submit them all to the state. And we'll be good for another year.
thank you, Vernon.
Well, you're playing good job, Vernon.
For all of
It
you.
does feel like yesterday we were scrambling through 2-3 weeks of budget and then 2 weeks of this, but it was. It was just yesterday.
It was simultaneously a decade ago and yesterday, so.
It was just the other day because it happened this year still.
That's right,
We've done
exactly.
it twice this year.
Welcome to Custer County, where time and space don't matter.
There's a rift. All right.
Anything else you need from me?
I believe that takes care of it for the day,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you for all your work.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Bart. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your help too.
Any additional items of business, gentlemen?
Next week's meeting's, here, it's the 26th, it's the day after Christmas. And I'll be at 9 o'clock, so.
Okay. Good enough. Public comment. That being the case, I will adjourn this meeting at 12:09 PM.